Zach Martin, who is not only shaking it up, but making great inroads for a House of Delegates seat. And he joins us here on the John Frederick Show. Good morning. How are you, Zach?
Oh, good morning. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Great, Zach. Great to have you with us. Now, we understand that you're a candidate for the House of Delegates in the 19th District, and that is from the retiring icon, Delegate Putney, right?
That's correct. Delegate Lacey Putney is what a lot of people, myself, refer to as a living legend. He's a guy who's served this district well for over 52 years, and I believe he's certainly the longest-serving legislator in Virginia's history and probably in the nation. But he has served the district well, and he just recently announced his retirement. So, yes, I'm running to replace him.
Do you have any real competition down there, Zach?
You know, we've got some other candidates running. I think there's 5 candidates in the race as of now. We'll see if any more get in. The deadline to file is going to be into this week. So we will, right now, we think we are set in a good position to move forward and win this thing. We've got, obviously, some competition from across the board. One of the candidates ran against Delegate Lacey Putney last time and lost. And then a few of the other candidates have tried public office or party office in the past, and maybe they've been unsuccessful. So then there's a couple of other people in the race that are interesting. So we'll see what happens, obviously, on May 7th. But other than that, we are excited and moving forward pretty good. We've got a great team and a lot of confidence.
Have you gotten any major endorsements yet, sir?
We do, but we're not going to release any of those just yet. But we do have some great endorsements, and we are excited to release those here soon. So.
Excellent. What kind of website presence do you have for people in your district that want to get more information about your candidacy, your issue advocacy, that type of thing?
Yeah, great. Actually, this campaign is really about connecting with voters, and we want to make sure that we're really doing that on all levels. And we've got, from a letter writing campaign to the door-to-door and the phone knocking. But if they want to find out more information on me, they can go to votezachmartin.com.
Very
ZachMartin.com and ZachMartin.com. And they can find all the information on there. They can contribute. They can get on, follow us on Facebook or Twitter, and just kind of see what online presence we have. And if they have any questions, they can email us directly, and we'll get to them.
Now, Zach, as we understand that if you were to win and represent the 19th District, you would be the youngest delegate in Richmond, right?
As of now, that's what it looks like, unless someone else retires or another candidate decides to get in and run. But, that's something we've tried to turn into a strength. We certainly think it is. The voters in the 19th District, as we've been knocking on doors and making phone calls, have been responding very pleasantly to it, talking about we really need new blood in Richmond. But granted, this is not something that's undone. I mean, just State Senator Steve Newman, who actually represents much of the 19th District, he was 27 when he was elected to the Virginia State House of Delegates. And then, you can go through history and find guys like Thomas Jefferson, who was elected to the House of Burgesses, 25 years old.
You've been a volunteer firefighter. You've got a great business development background. Can you tell people more about yourself, Zach, so they get an idea of what we're talking about here?
First off, I'm from this community. This is home for me. The decision to run was obviously very personal for that reason. My family all lives in the district. I've served in the volunteer fire department in the district as well. Been heavily involved in the community through the church and other avenues. And then on the business background, I work for a company called Moore's Electrical and Mechanical and assist in business development there. And we basically work, my area of responsibility really comes into part of the district and then going down to like Blacksburg and Roanoke. And we just work on, we offer mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services. And one of the great opportunities I've had recently is to be able to work with this company and helping to facilitate more business opportunities for our employees and for the community. And we work with higher education, K through 12, medical facilities, and we employ about 520 or so partners in Central Virginia.
Now, Zach, we all get excited when someone young like yourself wants to get involved. Obviously, for Republicans, we need to be able to better connect to young people, so that's always a draw. But in reality, Zach, you're 25. What qualifies you to serve the 19th District in the House of Delegates? I mean, what is your basic qualifications other than you're young and enthusiastic?
Sure. Well, first, I'll go to the state constitution and the U.S. Constitution, and that allows me to do it. Technically, I guess I'm old enough to run for Congress. So,
right, but that's not my question. Isn't Are
Sure.
you old enough to qualify? You're obviously over 21 and you fit the Constitution. My question is, you're going to be potentially replacing an iconic figure. What are your qualifications to serve?
Sure. Well, one of the things that's been interesting about this campaign, and one of the reasons I got into this race really is because on the backside, even though I am 25 and have only been, around those 25 years, I've been working behind the scenes with some of our area's strongest conservatives, including Delegate Lacey Putney, State Senator Steve Newman, Delegates Kathy Byer, and Delegate Scott Garrett. I've been working alongside these guys for the last several years, whether on the political side or on the policy side, trying to help move our, the legislation that's important for this area forward. And, that experience has enabled me from constituent services to knocking doors. I've really been out there listening to the voters for many, many years and understand what it is that they want. And that's what really this is about, is doing the right thing for our constituents and making sure that we're providing a limited government approach that's going to create more jobs for the district. And, a lot of candidates can run on whatever platform they want. People can run for office or whatever it might be. But for us, this campaign is personal. We sit here and we've listened to the constituents for a long time. I've been out there knocking on doors, visiting with them, carrying their concerns to other legislators, and have already been very familiar with that. And I think, at the end of the day, what this comes down to is who the people are really going to want to serve them. On the backside of this, it goes back just to myself and the experience I've had. I've always tried to put myself and do the very best thing I can for the people that I'm working for or serving, and the leadership is important here. And throughout, whether it was college or whether it was before college and after college, I've always been put in leadership roles and have tried my best to always do the right thing for those people that I'm leading. And in this instance, it's more of a service, and I think that we need to make sure that we have someone in Richmond that's not just running to complain or not just running to work, for the issues that they care about, but someone who's really willing to listen to the people in the district. And like you said, as growing up, and I'm sure as you at 25 years old, you ask a lot of questions and you get to learn a lot of things. And if I don't know the answer to something, I've always been good about putting the right people around me to make sure we make an informed decision.
Zach, if you were in the House of Delegates, tell us your position right now on Medicaid expansion in Virginia.
I'm not in support of the Medicaid expansion in Virginia at all. I know that Governor Bob McDonnell recently set up the commission to and move it forward and investigate the idea of setting a Medicaid expansion in the healthcare law, and we are not supportive of that at all.
If you had been in the House of Delegates during the last session, how would you have voted on the transportation bill?
We would have voted no, and I would have worked behind the scenes to try to prevent it from ever coming to a vote.
What modifications would you have made to help solve the transportation problem here in the Commonwealth?
Well, I think, one of the things that I really liked was Delegate Big and Klein from Rockbridge County and then State Senator Steve Newman worked alongside the Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, and they came up with a piece of legislation at the very beginning that actually was revenue neutral. That legislation would have taken money out of the general fund and used that money for transportation. And so it would not have been as burdensome of a tax. It would not have been as burdensome to the people, and actually would have shrunk the size of government. That would have been a good piece of legislation, especially since it would have lockboxed those transportation funds out of the general fund and set those specifically for the purpose. This legislation, on the other hand, takes $1.3 billion out and adds it to the general fund, doesn't lockbox it for transportation, and so really never fixes and addresses our problems, but does raise taxes on Virginia families.
Do you think that the far-right conservative attacks on Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell have been warranted?
I think Governor Bob McDonnell has done a good job overall. I appreciate him from day one he got in, and he audited transportation. He came in through. He reopened our rest stops. He was able to find the surplus that did exist, and kind of put in some more things that add for our infrastructure. But the results do speak for themselves, and we did drop from number 1 to number 3 and the best state to do business. And so under his governorship, and I respect the man. I think he's done a good job as governor, but I think we can do much better, and Virginia families deserve much better. And specifically in the 19th district, while we enjoy a low unemployment rate in the state, one of the lowest, in the district itself, it's almost double what the statewide unemployment rate is.
Zach, on your Facebook page, under the About statement, you have a very clear statement that you're a follower of Jesus Christ. You don't belong to any religious group, but you live your life to the best of your abilities, and, as you say, a vertical relationship with Jesus Christ. Do you feel that it's the legislative place to advocate for social issues, or should we stick to the people's business directly?
Well, I think that is the people's business, and I think that, one of the things that, Jesus teaches in the Bible that you have to have whether it's being a good steward or being fair and reasonable and setting up the right laws. I mean, the Ten Commandments serve as a function and a basis for most of our laws that we've passed in foundational principles. And I think those have a root in the Bible. And you go back to the very beginning, and Thomas Jefferson, some of the great American icons. Those gentlemen really set the par with us, and they set a foundation that was established on Christian principles. And I think so. It's very important that when you're in Richmond, you have someone who has that relationship with Jesus Christ, and you have a Christian in Richmond that's going to represent things from a biblical perspective.
All right, as we wrap things up, we want to remind people, votezachmartin.com is the website. Do you have any appearances scheduled here over the next week?
I don't believe with you guys, but we'd love to do it.
Oh, no. I mean, in terms of stump speeches and getting out and about, shaking hands, kissing babies, that kind of thing.
Sure. We are actually going to be door knocking every single evening this week, as well as on the weekends. Our first big event will probably be next week, actually. John,
you got one more salvo to fire at this young man?
Zach, I got one more question. Most recent surveys, young people, 25 and under, you'd be in that category, favor same-sex marriage by almost 85%. I mean, it's a stunning figure that has come out. Zach, how do you stand on same-sex marriage?
I'm an unapologetic defender of marriage, traditional family marriage, and do not support same-sex marriage.
Now, isn't that view out of step with most major surveys of people your age, 25 and under?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said throughout the years when you're growing up, sometimes you don't always have the most informed decisions sometimes, and other times you make decisions based off what professors push you to do in college. And what the peer pressure groups are. And I think a lot of people, even if the statistic you're saying is true, even if a lot of those people do believe that, they're also not against traditional marriage. And I think a lot of it comes down to education. People are afraid to be intolerant. But, for me, I'm not really worried about whether or not if a lot of 25-year-olds don't do it. And, for example, in this district, there's 1,400 hard R Republicans that are under 45. So, this district is not one that's going to, I don't think really look at that. A lot of people are more excited about the idea of having young blood in Richmond, people that are bold and take initiative on legislative items and social issues. And, when it comes down to it at the very end of the day, we need to understand who we're representing. And unfortunately, most of the people that are in Richmond or even in Washington don't represent over 20% of the electorate. Because if you look at just the last election, 18 to I think 29 was 20% of the electorate vote, and there's really not many faces in Richmond or D.C. that represent that demographic.
There you go, Zach Martin running for a House of Delegates position in the 19th district. Keep an eye on him. Vote Zach Martin is the website, votezachmartin.com, and we thank you for the time this morning. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. I look forward to seeing you guys soon.